Welcome to Mom's Life Made Simple, the podcast for moms who want to go from chaos to calm, from overwhelmed to organized, and to find balance between family responsibilities and personal growth. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen. Let's make mom life simple. Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited. We have some great things to talk about. Today, we are going to talk about journaling and why journaling is the habit that will make all your other habits easier. Journaling is a keystone habit. So a keystone is in architecture, if you see an arch, the keystone is that centerpiece of the arch that holds everything together. And when we're talking about a keystone habit makes the rest of everything you do easier. It holds it together. It keeps it a little bit together. So this is going to be a great episode. Lots of things here for you. Before we dive into that, let me share my review of the week. This says, super tips for moms and everyone. And this is by Livia Light. She said, Chanel has so much wisdom to share. As a fellow coach and friend, I was happy to find she had a podcast. No matter how much we learn, it is always great to have a reminder and hear others' insights. You may find something new, or you may find a new way of looking at something you learned long ago. Check it out. I love the short episodes infused with faith and intention, without a lot of fluff. Perfect for mom life. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love it when you guys leave comments, whether as a review or on Instagram. When you reach out, thank you for doing that and for taking the time. Now let's jump in and talk a little bit about journaling. So, why is journaling a keystone habit? Today, we're going to go through 6 reasons why journaling is a keystone habit, why it holds all your other habits together. Number 1, journaling affects your feelings. Journaling affects your feelings because you can write down the thoughts that you have. Just writing them down helps you to be aware of them. And then you can work out on paper the thoughts that you want to have. So sometimes what happens is when we keep all our thoughts in our minds, we find ourselves just swirling, spinning. The same thing goes on in our mind like over and over again. And we just find ourselves on this cycle of thoughts. When you write it down, when you write your thoughts down, you can start to change them. And when you change what you're writing and you change what you're thinking, you actually are going to change how you feel. Working that out on paper. So what that looks like is, let's say I'm, having a hard time with one of the kids. And in my mind, I just keep thinking, oh, how is this kid ever going to graduate? Or whatever the thought may be. And that kind of goes on in my mind. But when I sit down with paper and I start to write, okay, how is this kid ever going to graduate? Here's what he's doing right. Here's why he's such a great kid. All the other things, all the thoughts behind that thought start to come out, and it changes the way I feel because I can see the things that were kind of hiding beneath that initial thought. And I get stuck because that initial thought can become the dominant thought. And it's so loud and it's so persistent, but there's a lot of good stuff underneath there. And there's stuff that I want to think and I want to have as a thought. And as I write that down, I start to believe it. And so I start to change the way that I feel. Number 2, journaling reinforces the good. So this is so powerful. One of the things that I like to do is at night, I like to write down my wins. What were my wins for the day? What did I do right today? What went well? And focusing on the good helps you to want to do those things again. When you take the time to say, yes, I won at life today. I did something right. When you do that, you are more likely to catch yourself doing good the next day. So what you're doing is sending a signal to your brain. You're sending a signal in a couple ways. It's a self-reinforcing behavior. You're saying, okay, first of all, noticing that I'm doing good feels good. And so the next day as you go and you maybe do some of those behaviors again, and wins don't have to be big. They are things we're repeating. Let me tell you some of my recent wins. I did the dishes. I recorded a podcast episode. I took a shower. I finished a book. I spent time talking to my son. I made cookies for my son's friend. I fed how many kids? 6, I think. 6 extra kids dinner last night. Those are some wins that I did yesterday. That's a lot of little things, but they are wins. And as I start to recognize that they were wins, I feel better about myself because I am doing so well at life. But also, then as I go throughout my day today, I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. There's another win. When you write it down, you get an extra boost of dopamine. Your brain's like, woo, look at that. We did something good. And that helps you to seek that out again, to look for that same opportunity to win again. Often our brains what's loudest in our mind is often the negative. And so our brains naturally are going to reinforce the negative. Oh, you left some dishes in the sink. Oh, you didn't get everything on your to-do list done today, or whatever it is that comes up in our mind. But we can reinforce what we're doing right through writing it down. Number 3, journaling reminds you of what you wanted to do. Okay, I love this. This is a technique of framing the day. So we frame the day in the morning and the evening. So in the morning, you can use journaling to set the stage, to say, okay, this day is just beginning. I haven't really, gotten going on my day. I do this first thing. What do I want from this day? What are my goals? What are the things I'm working on? What really matters today? And as you set the stage and you create this picture in your mind, you're going to create what Ben Hardy often calls a peak state. You're going to create a peak state in your mind. And you already get to feel those feelings of what your day is going to be like. When you feel good, you're more likely to follow through on those things. You get to decide how you're going to show up that day. Who do I want to be today? What am I going to do? What is my day going to look like? Then in the night, when you are done with the day and the day is complete, you can report your progress. And that goes back to the wins that I was mentioning earlier. Here's what actually happened. Here's how it went. Here's what felt really good. Number 4, journaling allows you to frame experiences the way you want to. So there's 2 ways that you can use your journal to frame your experiences. So we talked about framing your day, and now we're going to frame our experiences. How do we want to view our experience? If you think about a picture frame, it takes the picture and it allows you to view it a little bit differently. That's what we're talking about here. So how do I want to view what happened to me today? So there's a couple different ways. One is as you're writing, you can really write all your complaints. Okay, this was the worst. I got in a big argument with my husband and things just didn't turn out and, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Get all that anger, frustration, all the emotions and things out in your writing. But then you end with a positive. But here's what I'm learning. But we made up and I feel so close to him now. But whatever the situation is, you write everything that you feel because you don't want to not process those emotions. You want to make sure that you're honoring what you feel. You write it and then you get to shift it. Here's why this was good. Here's the good in this experience. As you end, you decide, this is how I'm going to feel about what happened. And writing that down just helps to reinforce how you view that experience. The other way that journaling allows you to frame experiences is to write. I learned this technique a long time ago when I was doing the Moms Who Know podcast from Michelle Gualajaro, I think was her last name. And she would write down the situation. This is what happened. And she'd just write it all down. And then she would write, this is what I wish would have happened. And she would totally rewrite a fictional story of how she wishes things had gone. And then she would end with, I love you. I forgive you. I love you. And that has been a powerful tool for me to use. Sometimes when I get really frustrated about a situation, I use this. I write it down. Okay, here's what happened. And then I change it to what I want. And in that process, that last, I forgive you, I love you piece becomes true. It allows me to let go of what actually did happen and reframe the experience. Like, oh, it could have happened like this, and this is what I'm okay with it. I forgive the way that it happened. It's okay. It's done. In my mind, I become settled through this journaling process. Number 4, journaling makes you more creative. So this is so powerful. As you journal, you are coming up with something new. You're writing something into existence that didn't exist before. You're creating. And creativity is so powerful. When you become creative through writing in your journal, it's going to spread throughout your life. You'll find yourself with more and better ideas. And you'll also find that it's easier to access the idea part of your brain. You tap into that flow state, to that place where you are creative and you're just more of a creative person. Often we say, okay, well, I'm creative if I do art, or I'm creative. We kind of put parameters on what creativity means. Creativity means creating. And journaling is definitely that. And you will find a ripple effect through journaling that helps you to expand your creativity into other areas of your life. So number 6, journaling helps you manifest what you want. As you write, you get really clear on this is what I would love to have happen. And as you let yourself imagine and you write down the details and you put them down, journaling is going to help you really see and believe and envision those things coming to pass. And you create this story on paper that becomes very, very real to you. I'm thinking of even fiction writers have this happen. J.K. Rowling is coming to mind. She has told us things about the Harry Potter characters that were not in the books, but these characters were so real to her that she knew their backstory, even though it wasn't written down. That doesn't just happen for fiction writers. As you write, you're invested in your writing and you're creating this world. And it might not be Hogwarts, it's your world. It's what you want your world to be. And writing it down is going to actually create the future that you want to have. And the more that you see it, the more that you'll believe it, and the more likely it will come to pass for you. So journaling is the habit that makes all your other habits easier, because let's go through these again. It affects your feelings. It affects how you feel. You're going to stick to your other habits better, your good habits better, when you feel good. Journaling reinforces the good that you're already doing. Of course, as you reinforce, if you have a habit that you want to create in your life, you want to have any kind of habit, as you write that down as a win, as you recognize that you're doing it, that makes you more likely to do it. Journaling reminds you of what you wanted to do. It keeps your habits, your goals top of mind. Journaling allows you to frame experiences the way that you want to, so you get to decide what meaning your experiences have, making your habits easier. Journaling makes you more creative, helps you come up with better answers and better solutions and better ways to do the things that you want to do, and it helps you manifest what you want. So I hope this has been helpful. We are going to talk more about journaling throughout this month. I have a couple of great episodes for you, and I hope that you'll be inspired to just get a notebook and start writing. If you want further guidance on journaling, I've created a course called the Write Your Life course. This is something I'm really proud of. It will help you to dive deep on how to journal, why it's so important to journal, and how to really make it a habit. In addition to video modules and really walking you through each technique, there's a journal workbook, a download that you can use to try each of these out to find what works best and what is most powerful for you in your journaling practice. So you can get that at chanelnielsen.com/journaling. And I will see you next week. Thanks for being here. Bye. Thanks for listening to Mom's Life Made Simple. Need some help making your mom life simple? I offer group coaching programs using my 4-step method called the Mom's Method. This is a process of manifestation, organization, mobilization, and simplification that will give you the balance, progress, and joy you're looking for. Visit ChanelNielsen.com or find me on Instagram or Facebook at Chanel Nielsen Coaching. I love to hear from you. Reach out with your questions, your feedback, and let me know how I can help make your mom life simple.